Ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear my voice on the other end of this, guess what?
We back.
We back for another one. Nadia, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Just here, excited about our guest today.
Are you as excited as I am? I'm
I'm
giddy.
so excited. I know we were talking about it all day.
We have been. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, your proverbial hands together for the Dana Powell. That's right. You know her from Modern Family. The Good Place is coming up. Veep. Curb Your Enthusiasm, Suburgatory. What else am I missing?
The Office, right?
You had an Office.
Yes.
The
I'm
Bridesmaid, funny scene.
all of the shows I want to be on.
And of course, you are a co-host of the RANTS and RAVES podcast. We are honored to have you on our show.
Yes, we want to hear all about it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yay.
Also, does everybody come here and tell you that you're the most adorable couple
Oh my God.
ever?
No, but thank you.
You're welcome.
You can say it again. No, I'm just kidding. No, that means a lot.
You should have seen us like 5 minutes, an hour ago. Just kidding. We're like cleaning the house, putting a baby down.
You get
We're
the
just like,
chicken.
You get the chicken. Wait, what? Cauliflower. All right.
I accidentally made cauliflower. And
Accidentally?
So she told me cook the cauliflower. And so I found cauliflower in the fridge, but she had already cooked cauliflower. She just meant reheat it. And so now we got a ton of
cauliflower rice.
If you guys want cauliflower, there's like a lot in the fridge.
That is so sweet, and I'm also going to have to pass.
Me too.
What?
I'm
Guys.
not a fan of the cauliflower.
Listen, I'll
I
throw
call it
some
the white
pesto on
broccoli.
it and make it work. He's like, you mean the white broccoli? I was like, sure.
It is white broccoli.
I lost it. I lost it the other day. I was like, what is it? White broccoli? And she couldn't. She was like, you're too much.
I was like, all right, I'm done.
You are too much. So Dana, how you doing?
I'm great.
How was your
Good.
day? How's your day been?
It's been a little crazy. I was supposed to record my podcast today.
Oh,
And
goodness.
like the world just conspired to go, nope, that's not going to happen today. But, we're okay.
You're like,
We-
you're going to do other things today.
Yeah, so we didn't record today, but normally this is my recording day.
Oh, no
nice.
way.
Yeah, so I also took my son to the dentist. Is that interesting?
That's
very
fun.
interesting.
I just went last week.
Yeah,
was
he's
it-
7 and he's super not into it.
Oh,
Is
really?
he like really scared of the dentist?
He's scared of the instruments.
Yes.
So
Well,
yeah, I
mean,
guess.
They're like
yeah.
sharp and
Yeah, it frightens him and he doesn't like x-rays.
oh.
I get it. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Everyone puts on, I can't remember if this is a comedian or a scientist, but everyone puts on like vest to protect them.
Yeah.
And then except for you.
Yeah.
And they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
all right, we're gonna do this x-ray, but hold on while I go into another
Well,
room
I run away.
behind a lead wall.
I'm like,
Right.
maybe in the room next door, thanks.
Yeah.
It always cracks me up. My fear of dentists didn't happen until way later in life.
Yeah.
I was like
You're
totally,
lucky.
I was totally chill, never had an issue. And then I had to get a wisdom tooth taken out and they couldn't break it all the way through. So the doctor was like, I'll get it. And he like got up on the chair and was like doing this.
No.
And I only had local anesthesia.
No.
So my mouth was
why
like
am I
going
awake?
everywhere. And I was like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? No worries. It's totally cool.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No
After
worries.
we just discussed, I think that was my phone that just went beep.
Hey, you're popular.
No, I'm really not. Can I just chime in on your wisdom tooth
Yeah,
thing?
of course.
Did you guys know, and I learned this today because my son went to the to the dentist.
Love it.
That when your molars come in, your wisdom teeth molars, they come in 2 pieces. And then
No.
they grow up together and seal. Okay?
No.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I'm fascinated and disgusted by teeth.
Did you ever have
especially-
your wisdom teeth pulled?
Yes, I had mine
Okay.
pulled. But like the idea of baby teeth, where we have these milk teeth and then a whole other set of shark teeth above that move down, is so weird to me. So anyway, my sons did not seal together when the 2 sides came in.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to fill it in.
Interesting.
No way.
I had no idea.
That's crazy. I
That
have
is
3
crazy.
dentists in the family.
Really?
So I will have
so
to
you've
ask
seen
them.
X-rays of like the double layer teeths.
I don't think I have though, but
It's terrifying.
My uncle's a dentist and my cousin's a dentist, and then I have a dental hygienist. So
Nadia.
I'm literally gonna have to be like, "Hey guys, what is this?"
happened to you?
I know, right?
How did you
her
get into
family's
the
like,
arts?
not a dentist?
Let me tell you how
Okay.
shitty this is. Like one day, like my mom was like, your aunts were talking the other day. They were like, Nadia was so smart. Like,
This
That's
is
their
news
way.
To, this
Thank
is
you.
news
Their
to
way
me.
of saying what happened to
she
her.
could have been a lawyer. She could have
She
but
could've
she's
done
in
things.
Hollywood, working at the Laugh Factory, serving chips and trying to get somebody to get a 2-drink minimum. Awesome.
Yeah.
But hey, here we are
Here
hosting
we
a
are.
podcast.
Listen, we're living our dreams.
Yeah, we are.
That's
Okay,
right.
listen.
People have to remind me of that sometimes.
Keep your
I know,
opinions to
right?
But they
yourself.
do. They say all the time, oh, I'm so envious.
Mm.
You're literally living your dream. And I'm like, oh my God, I guess I am.
Yes, I am.
But it's hard to remember that because even though it is our dreams, it's still everyday life.
And it's
Right.
and it's a hustle.
It's a hustle.
And the goal always changes, right? That the next step is always just 10 yards away.
Yes.
So even if you reach something, you're like, okay, I'm here, but what about that one? I want to
Yes.
get my own show, not just be on the
God,
show.
yeah.
I used to.
It's never ending.
I really do believe in like self affirmations and like asking the universe
Visual-
or God
kind of
for
vis-
what you want.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, whatever term you use. I say God. I was raised
Me too.
religious, but I started off going, okay, I really just want to start getting in rooms, right? And then that happened, and I was like, wait a minute, no, but I mean, I want to get callbacks. Then that started happening, and I was like, no, but I
I
want
just
to.
want to book.
I do want to book it.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, this year I want a pilot. No, but I want to book the pilot. No, but I want it to get picked up. And it was like, we're 20 years in now. And I'm like, when are you going to learn
Yeah.
to ask?
To enjoy the ride.
Just enjoy where you are, enjoy the journey.
Isn't it a
Because
trip?
whatever I think the end goal is, there is
Yeah.
no end goal.
I feel like it's always changing.
It's always changing, and different things that I've experienced in this industry have led me to things I never dreamed I would be doing. For example, podcasting, which is a major love in my life.
Right?
What got you, like, when did you start that? Like, I know you had another podcast, right?
Yes, I had a podcast called The Absolute Worst Podcast.
Correct.
And we did that for 2.5 years. It was very fun. We went out on top. Like, we were still growing, but my partner was having a baby and her goals and ideas were changing. And I had different desires. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want a tour. She's like, I'm pregnant.
She's like, I'm going to go be a mom. I'm tired. I am Nadia.
Yeah. So we decided to just kind of, end that. And
Yeah.
I started a new venture because I just was like, this is something I really love. Because as I was saying to you in the pre-show,
Right.
which is here in your living room, and in listening to you guys and stuff, you get to know the people.
Yeah.
They feel like you're their friends, and I feel like they're my friends.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
It's crazy because if you think about it, people are literally walking around with you in their heads.
It's funny though. Like, I feel like the culture of podcasting. So, like, did you listen to podcasts before you decided you wanted to start a podcast?
Yeah, I was obsessed with them,
Same.
but I have no ability in technology. And
Well, you have enough to do your own podcast.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I'm actually pretty proud of myself because that's not easy to learn.
No.
I was very lucky. One thing that this industry has taught me too is to ask for help when you need it.
Right.
And so my writing partner was the lead singer of a band for many years, and he toured and stuff. So he had a lot of equipment knowledge. So I said,
Awesome.
literally, just tell me what I should get.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so then I looked up on YouTube how to set it all up, how to
Girl, you
set
go
my
with your
level.
bad self.
I mean, YouTube, a 12-year-old can teach you anything on YouTube.
Totally. And they do.
And they do.
They'll
and
teach you how to put
literally-
makeup on. I'm like, dang, I'm like a grown ass woman and I still can't like know how to blend my eyeshadow.
The child that taught me how to like put my soundboard and everything together
Yeah.
and get it in my cube, he was very young and didn't even have sheets on his bed. But he knew how to set up the equipment.
Listen,
Living
they're
like,
like
a caveman.
building cars. I'm just like, can I just make some curry? What's
know,
the thing?
My
I just need
brother-
to figure out how to make this recipe.
I have a younger brother who is a surprise to our family, but basically I was graduating high school whenever he came around.
Oh my God.
So he's come up in always having computers, always having
Yes.
access to YouTube. And I'm from the South, so we would fish a lot. He can fish better than anyone in our family because he looked it
YouTube.
up on YouTube.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How do
There's
you?
strategy to fishing?
There's like a crazy world to fishing. Like there's lures that you get. There's like times of day. There's
my gosh.
it's a crazy world, but he can fish better than any of us. YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
nuts.
crazy world. Speaking of your journey to podcasting and acting, I want to learn, how did you get into entertainment at all?
'Cause you're from the Midwest.
I am. I'm from Missouri, southern Missouri.
Awesome.
I was a very, very shy, overweight child, but I was very friendly. I think my mom had some latent desires to
Oh no way.
to entertain. And so when I was actually a writer when I was young. I won a lot of language arts awards and things like that.
Awesome.
And as I got older, my mom was like, well, join the newspaper. And I felt like I was too stupid. And so I completely stopped writing. Completely.
Wow.
And so when I got into high school, she was like, I want you to audition for the musical. I didn't want to, but I was a good
Were you musically
girl.
inclined?
My family is. I have some natural ability, but I would have to work at it to be really great.
Got it.
Yeah. I can carry a tune and I can play clarinet and oboe. There we
No
go.
way, me too.
Hey.
Clarinet and oboe?
Yes.
That
Clarinet.
is so random.
Well, it's just regular clarinet. There's a, right?
What's Nobo?
An oboe?
And
No.
Nobo.
No, just clarinet,
Oh, okay.
not oboe.
Yeah, I played
Yes.
both. I didn't play the oboe well. Don't worry.
I played the clarinet. I got really good really quick. It's so funny.
I was
But
first
yeah.
chair.
Yeah. It was like, I was like, okay. But then
Funny, you guys should mention I brought the clarinets.
Yeah.
hold on, let me get my reed.
Oh goodness,
I'm going to have to soak mine in my mouth for a while.
Hold on.
gross.
What
I was
do
a
you
trumpet.
use, a number one, number two?
Yeah.
You were
I did the brass.
buzzer lips. Yeah.
That's right. I
Yeah.
would, instead of licking the thing, I would clear the spit with that little spit nozzle.
Amazing. Do you have good tonguing?
I used to, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to. I actually loved playing, but that led me into learning how to play guitar. Once I did that, I got into a punk rock band, and then I dropped the trumpet.
It's like, I'm too cool for the
I should
trumpet.
have kept it though, because they had the whole ska thing. That would have been perfect.
Oh my gosh,
But-
yes.
Yeah, I don't
that
have a
would-
trumpet to this day, but
Aw.
maybe one day.
Wow. How long were you in a band?
I was in a band for multiple bands for a long time. So
Okay.
since freshman year of school.
Is
and
that how you snagged this gorgeous catch?
I wish she doesn't care. Anything that I think is so cool, she's like, oh, awesome. I flew airplanes before I drove a car. And I tell her this, and I'm like, I used to be a pilot before I even drove a car. And she's like, okay, cool. Where do you want to go eat?
Amazing.
And I'm like,
I'm just like, I didn't believe him at first, but now I'm just like, oh, awesome.
You didn't believe him, but you're like, you know what? Let's not discuss that you're a liar. Let's just go get food.
At first, I was
We're
like,
just gonna go
I
grab
thought
you.
it was like something that they did, like in Alabama, that
Yeah.
was like, oh, they must have like bumper cars. Like he like flew a plane.
All
And they
the
called
kids
them
fly
airplanes.
planes.
I thought it was like, and then he was like, no, you see my like tags, or I don't even know what he had, and I was like, oh, and this is just, and then he told me I also
She
did
doesn't even-
karate, and I was like, oh, okay,
Oh,
awesome.
I didn't do karate. I did taekwondo.
Oh, okay. And then he actually did the moves, and I was like, "Hey, you actually look like you have really good form." He's like, "I told
I
you."
did
And I was
karate
like,
for a long
"Oh,
time.
So you were for reals, for reals." I thought
Yeah.
you did taekwondo,
In quotes. Real hard
but
quotes.
like, you know,
Yeah.
So you can see, I actually don't know what got her, but I'm so happy I did.
Yeah,
it's
that's
that-
amazing.
It's that bright smile.
Is that what it is?
Yes, I love it.
You
my
do have a
teeth are,
great smile.
thank you. My teeth are
welcome.
too big.
No, they're lovely.
I'll tell you, I think that I have a shorter
doesn't.
upper lip.
It's just
No.
his teeth
'Cause
are
look,
big.
I'm going to show you, so if you're on YouTube, you can see, but I'm going to move around the mic so you can see. This is me closing my mouth.
Baby, it's because your teeth are popping out.
That's,
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
you can still see my teeth.
But people do that to try and look sexy. Like they have to, like I would have to go
Yes.
like this. Right?
Yeah.
I think that was
Somebody
sexy.
told me once I had, you're kind. Somebody told me once, you know, like we have comedy teeth, she said. You and I have.
You're like, you
I was
can't
like,
lump me into your group of whatever this
no, and
label
also,
is.
what the heck is comedy teeth? I don't know.
They're like character, like character teeth.
I
It's
just,
like,
I was
no,
like,
but-
what? It's anyway. I derailed us. So when
so
I
you
was
played,
in,
so you did a musical.
yeah,
Or you auditioned.
So I auditioned and I did not make it. And so my mom made me go back to the choir director every day and ask if anyone had dropped out, which was humiliating.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Has anyone dropped out of the chorus? I would like to try and join if that's possible. And so finally she just felt bad for me and said, just start coming to rehearsals.
Awesome.
I had one line. It was Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes.
And I don't remember what I said. Because in the video, I said it so fast the cameraman couldn't see me. And I was like, Tevye, models, blah, blah, daughter, sunset. I don't know what I said.
It was something like that.
Yes. And so, but I loved it. I really did.
Yeah.
So I started getting into drama and stuff. And then when I got toward the end of high school, I had won some awards, whatever.
That's amazing.
And then my parents were like, okay, well, now it's time to go to college, though. And now you have to do something
like real.
And I said, no, I want to do this.
This is real.
Mom,
And
how you
they-
going to go and hook me on this?
Right?
And then say,
It's
go.
her fault,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So I put myself through school because they were like, well, you're going to have to get yourself through then, right?
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Southwest Missouri State University. It's now MSU, Missouri State University. John Goodman went there, Kathleen Turner. Yeah, a lot of good people. It's a great program. It just happened to be in my hometown.
Lucky.
That's the only reason I went.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That
and I guess
in-state tuition.
oh man, lived off campus, all of it. So when I was in college, and this is what I love to say to people who are just, if you're just starting out or you're still in school and you are not the superstar, don't worry about it, because I was not ever. I have flown under the radar my entire career.
But you know what's funny? And we kind of talked about this in, I don't know, previous episodes briefly. There's this, when I started, I was in LA and I didn't have any theater. I didn't have any background in acting.
Oh, wow.
So when I started taking class, because I felt like it would just make me feel more comfortable when I started auditioning, I was in these classes and everybody would kind of go and introduce themselves, and people were like at NYU and studied at Tisch. And I always felt so like, man, these people must be so good. And I dropped out of college. Like I was going to school for business and I didn't even finish, and I lived in like the ghetto, and like, I'm going to go be an actress. And I think that held me back for a couple of years, to be honest. Because there was this intimidation of like, these people study theater, and here I am like...
Well, and I had professors tell me, well, if you're going to go to LA, just do commercials for a while to make some money until you have enough money. And like now living out here, we all know, like I'm very lucky. I work fairly consistently. I can count on one hand how many commercials I've done.
Isn't that crazy though?
You know, that's not my bag. It's not so easy to just move to LA and go, I guess I'll do commercials for a while.
Make some money, buy a house.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I think not being the star, I think prepared me better than the people who were. So many people that I went to school with who were the big dogs, they came out here and expected to be big dogs very quickly.
The next day.
Yeah. I never expected to be a big dog. I still don't expect it. You know, I think that the bulk of my job is to be rejected. So that's true. My job is to audition. And, you know, most of those auditions you're not going to get, but it's not about that. It's about meeting people, connections, showing who you are. The one thing I know, I said I would never move to LA because I am a plus size actress, and I thought only beautiful people can make it there. But
you are so beautiful.
Oh,
BT dubs.
Thanks, Nadia.
Yes, girl.
Now,
I love that dress also.
Thank you.
Yes.
I watched a YouTube video on fishing for compliments. No.
And that 14-year-old may not have his bed made, but damn.
Look what just happened to me.
Yes, girl.
Go like his page, subscribe.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. But I actually, when I book a job, I'm like, oh, that's a whole separate set of worries, you know?
Yeah.
But if I don't get a job, I'm also most of the time not devastated. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, but my job today was to go to that audition. And I think people who have constant success when they're young, early on, they can't take it.
Right. There's a lot of rejection.
I mean, that's a ton
you were
of
saying
what
it.
we
That's
do.
the bulk.
Yeah.
You know, you think about like in terms of numbers, a good booking average, let's say 10%.
Yeah.
100 auditions, 10 callbacks, 1 job.
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Imagine.
It doesn't mean you even did a bad job.
Exactly.
You might have even been the best person, but you have red hair and they can't have that because so-and-so has red hair.
Isn't that crazy? Know? And those are the things that people don't think about.
And you should, because otherwise we're just beating ourselves up going, well, I guess I'm not supposed to be doing this. Apparently I'm not very good. And it's like, nah, man, it's not about that. Yeah. That's why it is so important to worry about the journey.
Do you feel like you did you learn that along the way? Like, did you have to learn that, or did you kind of come in already kind of telling yourself that? Yeah,
I think I learned it in college when I realized I wasn't going to be on the main stage. You know, I was voted most unrecognized actress a couple years in a row by the students, you know.
That's an award?
Yes.
They're trying to be nice?
They're like, you're really talented and nobody...
It's kind of like Mark Ruffalo. It's kind of like Mark Ruffalo, right? I feel like he's he's
underappreciated. Yes.
Like he's so good, but like...
Yeah, but I just always knew somewhere inside of me that this is what I was supposed to be doing. So I was like, well, you can't tell me no.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
so
you're like, I'm just going to do this.
I'm just going to do it. And I guess until I die? I don't know. Because I had already said to my parents, look, I'm doing this for me.
I love it.
So when I got out of school, I was seeing a boy in college, and he was in the theater department, and he was directing, and he had been an actor as well. And he just called me one day, and he said, this guy I went to high school with was touring with Les Mis in Germany. We were like 23 years old. He said he dropped dead of a heart attack on the sidewalk.
Oh my gosh.
And he said, but he was doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm selling cars with a master's degree. You're editing the nighttime news and getting in trouble all the time because it's not what I wanted to be doing.
Right.
I'm going to move to LA in 30 days, and I really hope you want to go with me.
Oh, wow.
And so I told my parents, I said, this boy wants me to leave with him. I think he believes I'm very talented. Sorry. I think he believes I'm very talented and doesn't want to leave me in this town. I also believe he's going to dump me when we get out there. Do not let me come home for a year.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. And of course, my mom was like, no, come on whenever you want, you know.
But you're like, don't let me.
Where did that perspective come from where you can, like, did that happen? I don't want to, did he dump you?
No, we have a child together. We've been married 19 years.
Oh my gosh.
This
That's
is Preston's
amazing.
he's like such a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
Like, that is amazing.
Literally chills.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's the truth. Yeah.
So where did the, it seems like you know yourself and you're hacking yourself. Like, so I'm so excited that the story turned into children. Like, that's like freaking awesome. You told your mom and your dad, you're like, I'm going.
Yes.
He believes in me.
Yes.
This might not work.
Yes.
You can't let me do the thing that I'm going to do.
Or want to do.
So how did that like self-awareness come
you
about
were
in that
pretty
moment?
young,
Because
right?
that's young to.
It was, I had never been away from home more than 8 days. I had never been to California. I had only ever been to Arkansas because it's like a 3-hour drive,
Right?
Yeah.
and Texas because we had family there.
Did you ever go to
So-
Texarkana?
No, I didn't.
It's on the corner of
I know
Texas,
where-
Arkansas.
I know where it
Kansas.
is.
Did you know that?
I know
I
where
have
it
no
is.
idea what you're talking about.
But it wasn't a destination point for me. But I shouldn't be making fun of you because I spring braked in Branson, Missouri one year on
Yes.
the 76 strip. So,
Oh,
you know.
Do you know where Roach, Missouri is? Sideline?
No.
So Roach, Missouri is a mile in circumference, and it's just north of Preston, Missouri.
Wow.
And it is so hot. Literally, I did like an acting thing there, and it was so hot that when we would go eat together, the sweat would accumulate on the floor. And you would
That's-
wade through water.
Disgusting. That's hot yoga with food.
Yeah,
with food.
vomit.
Oh,
It was awful. Sorry about that. So to backstep to the beautiful story, you come out, you tell your parents, don't let me go home.
yes.
Perspective.
Yeah, and I think that am I allowed to curse on this?
Of course.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I do say I'm not a huge cursor, but I do say I have a little fuck you flame in my heart,
Yeah.
and it's that I know I'm really good. There's literally nothing else I'm good at.
You're like,
And
this is going to happen.
Yes, I'm like, this is a gift I was given,
Yeah.
and if I don't use it, shame on me.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know what else I would do anyway. And so one of the things that I knew when I first started getting auditions, nobody knew who I was. They didn't even want to, they would glance up at me and see this fat young redhead that nobody knew and be like, okay, right? But I knew that when I left that room, they weren't going to forget who I was.
You're like,
That's
watch me.
awesome.
That's so great.
Because I knew that one of the things that I think I was just very lucky and blessed with is I knew what made me good at what I did is that what you said earlier, I was true to myself.
Yeah.
I know that to this day. When I go to audition for a part, I know I'm going to do it unlike anyone else that walks in that day. And I work very hard at that.
That's awesome. Because you feel like you're bringing yourself to the work. And honestly,
Exactly.
nobody can bring Dana to the work or Preston or
Right.
Nadia or anybody else.
No.
And that's the
Nobody
thing-
else can do it the way you can.
Exactly.
So stop trying to worry about what they want, what they're looking for, what's right, what's wrong. It doesn't matter. Just do you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be right, and you might even change their minds. I booked Suburgatory. I was 5.5 months pregnant. It wasn't a pregnant role. And then I ended up
love
doing
that.
like 7 episodes.
Amazing.
That's
And
so
there
great.
were
I
no
love hearing
other-
stories like that because it gets so, even, for women, I think it gets scary when you start having children and
Absolutely.
you start to be like, am I ever going to work again? It's like, there's like, I remember with my first pregnancy when I was with Judah, I was like, oh my goodness, like I have to hide it as long as I can. And I'm so petite that it's like,
You're so tiny.
I'm
You
like,
couldn't have
I
hid
couldn't
it.
hit this shit. Here it is.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it, y'all. But
Yeah.
but yes, I love that you were like, I'm still auditioning, and I'm not going to be ashamed of this.
And I think that there's this weird idea in our industry too, and probably in a lot of corporate places, that you can only have one or the other.
Yeah.
You know, you can only have a career or a family, especially for women.
Yeah.
Or you can only have a relationship or a career.
Yeah.
Right.
And I am living, walking, everyday proof, and I have many friends who are, that I looked up to, that is not true.
And I love
100%.
that.
I have it all.
And your husband, because he moved out here, right? So is
moved,
your husband is in the industry as well?
He is. He started it. So I worked at an office job for 4 years. Just keep it, because we're Midwest and we had to have insurance. Like that's ingrained in you.
Yes.
From the very beginning. So I said, why don't you try and get started? So he started like day playing, running film for, We Were Soldiers Once and Young. He ran the film from up north down to LA every day, and just tried to start getting into the industry. So now we were both 2 kids, never really done anything, didn't have any contacts, family, anything, moved out here fresh off the boat, you know, the boat from Missouri.
Exactly.
And now he is a producer, and
Awesome.
I'm an actress and writer.
Is that what, was he acting too when you guys met?
When we first met, yes.
and then he transitioned into producing.
transitioned into directing and in college, and didn't know what he wanted to do out here, didn't know what was available, but he said that when he met me, this sounds like I'm making this up, and he's not here to be like, no, it's true. But when he met me, he said to himself, I will never be that talented. I don't have that. And decided to change his path.
Oh my gosh, I love that, and I believe it.
You know
Yeah.
what's crazy is
Not that I'm not saying he's not talented. I just
believe he said that.
I believe that. I believe that there are husbands that actually encourage like that, because he's like that. He's never said that to me, but he's definitely.
We can wait.
I was about to say, we'll pause. Babe,
It's
I'm going to
to
go
have
be a
that release-
doctor.
Listen, no, it's fine.
No, but what's really cool about that is you're self-aware. He's self-aware.
Yeah.
That's so great.
He was frightened by auditioning. And I think that is something that chases a lot of people away from this too.
Totally.
And
Oh, yeah.
somehow I was very blessed. Like, I actually like auditioning.
Yeah.
I know that sounds insane.
That's awesome.
But it's because of what I said earlier. I know that when I walk into a room, you may not know who I am or care who I am, but you will when I walk out.
That's
love it.
awesome.
I know that. And I'm excited to show you. That's my time. I get to show you what I've worked on.
And that's the work.
Yeah.
So that you've done your job. Like
Yeah.
you go in
Yeah.
there, if you book the room,
Yeah.
you do what you came in to do. That's your job.
Mm-hmm. And unbelievably, if you are prepared, you're already head and shoulders above most of the people that will walk in that day.
Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy?
It's so crazy to me to think that, because I'm like, no, this is your job though. Like, even if you have a job, which I
Right.
did for many, many years,
Yeah.
you know, this still, like, be prepared.
Yeah. Come on, man. Like be professional.
Because you don't even have a chance. You just wasted everybody's time, including your own, if you're not prepared.
It's almost like a slap in the face when you think about it, because that's also a missed opportunity for somebody else that could have been in the room.
That didn't get in because
100%.
you're there.
Exactly.
It's true.
And if you take each audition as seriously as it sounds like you do, and if you know deep down, and it's not just like a head knowledge, it's just it's a you know it, but you know it to be true within yourself, that your job is to audition and to do the best job you can, to book the room, to leave an impression, and then walk away. It changes the audition game. I was fortunate enough when I started because I knew nobody. Moved out here with a truck, almost broke down multiple times. Slept on the living room floor of a dude from Craigslist for literally a year.
Oh my God. We didn't have furniture for 3 months. We slept on the floor.
In that though, it's
We
like
had a lamp and a mattress pad off a friend's couch.
That's
it.
crazy.
We had 2 spoons that we bought at the 99-cent store, 2 forks, 2
Yes.
plates, 2 cups.
and
I
now
had
look at you now.
I had randomly met some person from a church that I attended when I first moved out, and they were giving away fine china because they had too much.
What?
So I pop into town with my S10 truck, manual in traffic in LA is
horrible.
wonderful.
I did the same thing.
And so I show up. They're like, anyone? They almost laughed saying it. They're like, none of the people here are gonna want fine china. But does anyone want fine china? And I was like, I don't have any plates at all.
Right.
So literally, when I would have friends over, we would eat on fine china,
You
like
were
pizza.
Like, let's get a Little Caesar
Style.
pizza. Put your pizza on your
And
plate.
like silver linings and stuff like that.
I would make a pot of potato soup at the beginning of the week and we would eat it for the whole week. Can you imagine how fancy we would have felt eating that potato soup out of your fine
Girl,
china?
yes.
Right? Until you accidentally, I'm pointing at myself, put it in the microwave. You're not supposed to do that with metal. Did you know that?
But wait, where was the metal?
It was silver lining.
Oh, right.
So you put it in the microwave because I had pizza I needed to heat up, and it
On
almost
his fine
ruined.
china.
It almost ruined the microwave because
Oh, yeah, I can't believe it didn't blow up.
it almost did. I happened to be right there, thank goodness. But long story short, you come into town, and I was fortunate that the people that I met over time, that was the message.
Yes.
Audition is the only game in town. Don't worry about it. It has nothing to do with you. So before I even had my first audition, a lot of the work that I did was trying to figure out a way to not ever worry about a no in an audition room.
Yeah.
And literally auditions today don't faze me except for whenever I like am super pumped about a role and I think,
Right.
oh,
I
this would
hate
be
it
so
Yeah,
fun.
you get
I
like
hate
that
it when I
nervous-
fall in love with a role.
It's the worst.
You're like, oh, I fell in love with you. Now I
Yeah.
want it.
Yeah.
It's the
I
worst.
think what you said too about, I really love that you just said, before I was getting into the rooms, you were already preparing, because I think that there's no clear answer of how you're going to get into rooms. That
100%.
story is different for everyone.
Yeah.
And like people will ask you and you can say, well, this is how it happened for me, but like I might be the only one.
Right.
And that could be true.
That's so true. Because some people are like, I did workshops. Some people are like, I had a friend refer me. Some people are like, I was waiting tables and a casting director came up to me and then
Exactly.
like literally, I've heard it all.
It's a million and one different ways. Everyone is different. And it's really frustrating when you're like, all I want to do is get a shot at this.
Right.
Yeah.
How do I even start? And the frustrating answer is there is no answer to that.
Right.
It's almost like you kind of got to knock on so many different doors because, and even like what you were saying earlier about how like, you know, I find it so interesting that there are so many people that I know that work theatrically that sometimes don't book a ton of commercials.
Yeah,
like they
no.
just don't. And then
Yeah.
there's friends that I have that book all the commercials, and
And they're like,
they
I
can't even get
an
theatrical. I can't
audition.
even get a theatrical agent.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I've had them on and off, and I work more commercially.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where I'm like, you don't know, like everything is just not linear. Like
No.
even
Right.
my commercial agent who has a theatrical department, like it's impossible to even get a meeting with them.
Oh, for sure.
It's not so like obvious. And so it's like, you kind of just have to start doing things to create your own buzz and also get those opportunities, I guess.
And don't get frustrated where you're like, I have to quit because this
Yeah.
isn't working the way I wanted
Yeah.
it to.
No.
And yeah, I love what you said too about that, you know, you're having a hard time. You don't need to hear this, I know, but somebody might need to. I built most of my career without an agent or a manager.
I love that.
I love that.
Yeah. It's definitely possible. Eric Stone Street is sort of a mentor of mine. I play his sister on Modern
Yes.
Family.
Hilarious.
And we
Hilarious.
Thank
Let's
you.
just pause. So good.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
He
So
is
good.
very much like a real big brother in
Yeah.
real life, except he's older, you guys, than I am. I know I play his older sister. I am not. Let's just make
You're
that
like,
clear.
I am younger. Thanks.
I am very young. But he used to tell me when I was, you know, starting out and coming up, he would say, don't get tied to an agent or a manager, especially if they don't appreciate you and want to develop
Or
you.
know you.
Or know you. Yeah. He's like, you don't need that. Believe me, if a casting director loves you, they will find a way. And I was like, easy for you to say, you're on TV.
Right.
You know, but it really is true. And somehow, I don't know if it's the vibes that you send out or how it manifests in you spiritually,
Yeah.
like as a human being. But that energy, when you are not beholden to someone who can make or break you, you become in control.
And that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome because that even changes.
Yes.
Like one agent might be good for a season, if at all. And
Absolutely.
I've gone through so many agents and managers, period, that it's like every single time I have. And when I was younger, I think coming in so insecure, it was one of those things where it's like I had to learn the hard way because everything was so devastating. It was
Yes.
like oh my God, I'm scared to ask them about this
I don't want
thing.
to email them.
Yeah, I don't want to
Right.
be.
I don't want to make
bug 'em.
them mad. And it's like, no, they work for you.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's
if
so
they
crazy.
don't understand that, they need to go find someone else.
Yeah, it's
Right.
insane.
But I didn't realize that right off the bat. But slowly I learned that. And now I just am like, do you like me or do you not? When the last time I got a new agent, she was like, oh, what are you looking for? What are you thinking? And I said, here's what I really want. If you get me up to bat, I will work.
Right.
I'm telling you that right now. I will work. So do you like me enough? And are you interested in me enough to help me get those opportunities? Because that's all I need.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
I love that.
I will do the work. You just get me the opportunity.
And like me enough to be thinking about me for these jobs.
Absolutely. And know that even if I don't book 10 auditions in a row, I might book the next 20
Right.
in a row. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, don't give up on me if it doesn't happen overnight. I can't give up on myself.
Yeah.
Why would you give up on
And
me?
it's a marathon. We say it all the time, but it really is. It really, because everything's in seasons too, like the way that, even the way the industry and casting works. It's like
Yes.
there's ebb and flow.
Writer
Absolutely.
strikes.
Strikes, yeah.
So many things that are out of your control, and it even brings to mind just the whole conversation around kind of taking the ownership of your career, kind of taking back the this is my decision to make. The thing that kind of brings to mind is I had some friends that would tell me horror stories about getting involved with an agent that they should not have, and it being the thing that ran them out of town.
Yeah, or held them back.
Held them
or-
back, whether it be the way that they feel about themselves has been so damaged from the relationship, whether it be, the manager themselves had an anger issue and would cause issues on the phone.
I've
And
heard
now,
that a lot. Yeah.
It's insane.
I know.
It's insane.
and then you think about it, it's like if you're always working to, if you don't have your own agency, like what you're talking about, where you see within yourself, this is my career. This is when you talk about coming into a room and I want to make sure that if they don't know me, they will now.
Yeah.
If that's your priority, then you're going to move through life in such a way that people who like that are going to be attracted to that.
Yeah.
And then go, hey, what you're doing, I think is really awesome. I think that I can add to that.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
the conversation is different. Then it's a partnership conversation. It's like, hey, I got this and you got this. Let's
And-
see what we can build.
Out here, we're constantly building community.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have a very strong community. And do we get to hang out all day, every day? Absolutely not.
You're like, no.
No. We're all so busy here and we all have our own lives or whatever. But I also know if I need to call a friend and say, hey, I have an audition, can you work on this with me? They're going to do it.
That's awesome.
It's a town of favors.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask when you need help or when you want something, because the worst they can say is no.
I know. It's so crazy. There's always this fear that, I don't want to bug somebody.
I don't want to bug somebody. Let me tell you something. If you continue on in this industry, no is the easiest thing you're going to hear.
Yeah.
Just because this is my dream and I love what I do. And at this point in my life, I don't see myself stopping,
Yeah.
which could change along the journey. I don't know. Just because all of that does not equal easy. So
Yeah.
if you are
Yeah.
not solid enough within yourself to hear those no's or to be bullied by an agent or manager and go, no, this isn't acceptable for me.
Right.
If you can't handle that, you might need to find a different calling, but that's your decision.
Yeah. You almost need to be your own advocate.
Always.
Constantly.
Constantly. You are your only advocate. These other people, they want to be submitting you and they want to make money off of you, but you have to survive.
Right.
This is your life.
Yeah. You have to figure out a way to make a living.
Yeah, they've got, 15, 20 other people that might help them fill their pockets.
Yeah.
Well, not me.
Exactly.
I got me, myself, and I.
That's right.
They got that family member who's like, here you go.
Yeah,
Here's your rent.
I've never had any of that kind of help. So I guess the only thing that I did have, the only hope I did have was like believing this was the only thing I was really good at. And I always say, I've only lived in LA. I haven't done New York or anything, but I always say about LA, people always said to me before I moved here, don't move to LA. It'll crush your soul. Well, it can if you let it.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't surround myself with people who feel that way. I don't feel that way. I feel like if you are meant to be here in LA and this is what you're supposed to be doing, and also you don't realize until you get here how many facets of this industry there are.
So many
that
this
you
is
don't
the
even
hub.
you don't even understand that they exist, and then you're like, I would love doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So if you don't, I say, if you're supposed to be here, LA, she will take care of you.
Yeah.
I've known friends that were getting ready to move away and found a $20 bill on the ground to feed them for that night, and they got a call and booked a show the next day.
That's
like,
what's
literally crazy stories like that.
And I think that that's the thing. You kind of you have to find one of the things that we've been talking just on a personal note, like outside of podcasting, is how to be content in all circumstances.
Yes.
And being able to, because one of the things that I think with different personalities and people, I'm realizing that I very much grew up a very anxious child, like anxious and like fearful. I was always like wanting to get everything right, do it right, do it right.
Me too.
And so it's one of the things where it's like last year was one of the best years I've had as an actress, like working. And even then I felt like,
When's it going to dry up?
what if I don't book anything
But
next
what's
year? Well,
the
what if I
next
don't make
thing?
insurance? And like, what if I, and
And other people are going, oh my God, you've been shooting so much. And you're like, I shot that
And
3 months ago. It just now aired and I haven't had a job for 3 months. I'm
and-
freaking out.
Right.
So it's this like this vicious cycle where if you don't like you said, it's crazy to think like, we've been like, okay, we're like right now it's like such a crunch time because it's like we haven't booked work in a little while, and it's like, we just moved, and it's
Right.
like, all right, but
And you have a little one.
Yeah, we're
Right.
choosing to believe and trust that like a job is right around the corner
Right.
because we're putting in the work. And I think that that's kind of like,
And
we're
work
not going
begets
anywhere.
work.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you guys are doing this podcast, that's something I always think about my podcast and any other like projects I have going on myself. That's work.
Right.
I might not be getting paid for it, but like I've even trained
Yeah.
my son. When I'm going to do an improv show, I say, Mommy's going to work,
I love that.
because I believe that
I love
work
that.
begets work.
And it does, and it makes the connections. For the longest time, I would love to circle back to the conversation around asking for help. For the longest time, I came from my brother and I would make the movies. No one else in the town knew how to operate a camera, let alone who wants to be making Hollywood film.
Yeah.
And so for us, we had to do all of it, from shooting it to directing it to cutting it together to acting in it to doing the
Editing
special
it.
effects. I learned. I
Wow.
took my truck and I learned to do stunt driving out in the woods,
Oh my God.
like
That's why I
straight
barely made
up,
it out here.
Straight,
God.
barely made it out here.
I'm so glad you're still alive.
I know, right? But it's one of those things that for me has been the hardest struggle, is learning to go, I don't have to spend the next week learning how to do a graphic. I can partner with someone who
also wants to do something and they don't have your skills.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's so hard. It sounds to me like that was a struggle that you had early on, or was that not your
Asking
I
struggle?
think that the struggle I had, yes, I did have a hard time asking for help, but it was more of a Midwest, like you pull up your bootstraps and you do it yourself.
Totally.
You don't go asking people for handouts.
Yeah.
But in this town, like a casting director, they get to say they found you.
Yeah.
That's good for them.
Yeah.
If they bring you in front of producers and the producers are like, yeah, I don't want Dana, but she was so funny. They look good.
Of course.
You know, you're not, everybody's doing everyone a favor.
I was just going to
Yeah.
say
what I'm
that.
trying to
Yeah,
say.
totally.
Yes. Everybody's scratching everyone's back.
Yeah. And it's really hard too. I think something I also wanted to, before I came, I was like, okay, are there any key points I want to remember to say?
I love it.
And one of the things I wanted to say too is we all know this, but we have to keep repeating it. And I deal with it still to this day. I think we all do. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Girl, yes.
And I'm sure you guys are the same way. I have so many friends that I came up with because I've been doing this for a bit, and I have been very lucky, and I work with a lot of people that are amazing. I was in the Sunday Company for a year and a half, and almost my entire Sunday Company crew we all consistently work. Like, it's pretty, some of them are Oscar winners now. And
That's
you know,
amazing.
so it's really, really hard not to compare yourself to your friends, but that will literally destroy you and your morale, and you won't be able to continue on.
And honestly,
So
it's like
true.
the root of bitterness is actually what rot to you. Because it will
God, yes.
become
It
that.
doesn't hurt anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's just, we talk about that and it like almost makes the heart sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like you think about it and it's like everybody has such a different journey.
Everybody.
And like I've even friends like, you know, with groundlings and stuff that they're like, well, I just need to go take groundlings so that I can get it on my resume so I can start working. And I'm like, listen, I have actually seen so many friends go through that program, even go through Sunday Company and, you know, at different times of like maybe 5 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever. And that is not the one ticket there's not one thing that's going to open that door. For some people, maybe that is their platform and those relationships. And for other
it's
people,
mostly about the relationships.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be on the main stage to make those relationships. I made relationships I'll have the rest of my life through places like that, UCB, IO. And I always say, literally, I can trace my entire, now I do comedy.
I was just going to say,
if you're a dramatic actor, I don't have a ton of advice for you. But I do comedy and I can literally trace back every single part of my career to doing improv, what I learned there, and the people I met.
Wow.
Literally every single thing about my career. And I didn't know that when I started, but now in hindsight,
but if you think about it, maybe it's because you went in to be genuine. Because I also think that there's this like weird, like, I don't know what it is. It's like this weird unspoken thing that I think people are getting from their agents or managers, that it's like, you need to go to UCB or you need to get that credit so that you can get in the room. And I think it becomes missional where people go through these programs not to genuinely be there. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying, I think that there's like a subset of people that go in. So they're not interested in making relationships.
Right.
They're not interested in being like, hey, let's get together and like work on a team. They're like, what can I get? And how's this going to help me get to the next level or get that audition for that comedy, whatever. And
instead of learning a skill,
right?
Like I always say, I'm constantly putting new tools in my tool belt.
Yeah, love that.
So like when I had already been improvising for several years on teams and stuff, when I decided to go over to the groundlings, and people were like, you need to tell them you want to test out of the first couple of levels. And I said, why?
Right.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of money and you've been doing this a long time. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, this is a new theater with new ideas and a new approach. Why on earth would I want to try and skip? I want to start in the beginning with other people who haven't done this and learn their way from the ground up, because I hope and pray that for the rest of my life, I remain a sponge.
I love that.
That's
want
awesome.
to always
and
be
you're
learning.
awesome, by the way. I've seen you do shows at Groundlings, and
thanks.
yes, and such a good improviser and good character work. It just like it's, and I think that shows in the work that you weren't like.
But I didn't make the main stage. And you know what happened? I got cut from the Sunday Company after my final 6.
But you've done shows there, right?
Yeah, I can still, because I'm a Sunday Company alumni.
Because I was going to say, because I've seen you do shows.
Yeah, I still perform there and stuff, just not on the main stage.
Okay.
So 10 days after I got cut from the Sunday Company, and everybody thought, myself and Sarah Baker, I don't know if you're familiar with her.
Blonde, right?
Yes, amazing actress. People often think we're the same person. We are not, but I adore her.
Yeah, you're not.
We went through together. Neither one of us made it. Everyone was like, what? That's so weird, right? 10 days later, we were both shooting Bridesmaids.
That's
and I was
amazing.
sitting in hair and makeup with Kristen Wiig, and she was like, you got cut? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, you know what? You're here with me right now. It doesn't matter.
I love
And
that.
that's the thing. I think it's like, do the work. Like, you get work begets work.
Yeah.
Do the work and trust that everything else will go like how it should.
Yeah.
This
I
word has been circling around my head for this year, is be undeniable.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And
But
it's
you
like,
have to believe you are before anyone else will.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you're caught up in playing the game, let me get this thing on my resume.
Yep.
Let me get someone.
That's all it is. It's
Let's-
just a thing, like a thing
check-
to put under training.
Check.
Let
Yeah.
me, this is even super nefarious. Let me even make friends with someone because of what I think they can do,
Can
for,
do
me.
it for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you
Yeah.
get into that game, you literally, let's say that does give you an opportunity. You walk in those doors and you got that opportunity for that movie that you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And you have not considered that it's important for you to build your skill set to
No, because you've been working on this other
exactly.
plan. You've
Get
been
this master
focusing.
plan.
Uh-huh.
You're like,
That's
but,
where your work's been.
but I did get the thing you told me to get. So can I get this job?
Yeah, no.
And it doesn't
Yeah,
work
no.
that
It's
way.
just,
No.
it's inauthentic.
It is.
And it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
It's gross, but it's also when you can block out the rat race. I really consider it being a rat race if you get caught up in that. And then you start to work on your own stuff, whether that's put a show together, whether that's go through a school or, you know, for us, we started the podcast as just a way to just do and, you know, writing our own stuff, filming our own things. It's like,
I went back to writing because I was like, this is a tool I need in my tool belt.
I love that.
You know, and honestly, I have a good friend named Alex Enriquez. He's a comedian and a writer and everything. And he just got married. So congratulations. He got cut from the Sunday Company 6 months before I did. And I just remember going to lunch with him afterwards. And I'm like, I can't believe this happened. You're one of the most talented people I've ever met. And he said something to me that to this day I quote, and I always give him credit because it's really gotten me through some tough times. He said, they made us into weapons and released us on the world.
I love
and that is how I feel about that play. I started writing again. I realized I was a writer again. And now, you know, this last year I started pitching and, you know.
I love that.
Yeah. And you know, then comes the new struggle of like, oh, is my journey changing? I'm not sure. You know, I don't know the answer to any of that.
Girl, I know. I literally, when you mentioned that you had won some writing awards when you were I won some poetry awards when I was in elementary school and was part of like writing stuff. And I also was just like, my family came from they're not from this country. They're from Nicaragua. So it's very much like you go to school to be a lawyer, doctor, or a dentist. Right? Behind all the dentists in my family and doctors. And so it was just something that I just was like, this is silly.
Yes.
And why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I still even have this manila folder that my award came in from, like the city. We was like at the public library thing. That whoever entered, I literally wrote a poem about a trash can. And I won the writing contest, and the author that came in and to like encourage all his kids wrote like, keep writing. And I never did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started writing sketch. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. But I'm so hard on myself. I'm such my worst critic that I'm like, I don't know, I'm just not as good. Anyways, and now I've been taking a stab at stand up. And it's been one of these things where it's like, this is a very new thing.
Yes.
And we were watching the Dave Chappelle comedy special last night.
Yes.
And I told Preston, I was like, why would I ever watch the Dave Chappelle and be like, I think I can do that? Like, come the frick on. Like, really? I'm like, of all people.
You can do Nadia's version.
Right.
Yes. But 100%. My point was like, I can see endless possibilities of what I could do. But then I'm like, yeah, what am I going to do? I'm going to go on tour with a freaking 1-year-old. And he's like, hey, how about you just start writing and start doing some open mics?
Exactly. Stop predicting what the outcome's going to be and just be on the journey.
Yes. But it's
because who knows, by the time you're filming your Netflix special, you might be doing holograms. You know what I mean? You might not need to be on the road.
Whatever. Listen, I'm gonna want to be there. Okay.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, Judah can be in the back.
That's right.
But it's cool because you don't know. Like I was like, I started acting. I was like, I'm gonna be like this dramatic actress. I don't even know why I ever thought that. Yeah. And then I started doing acting classes, and coaches were like, you're really funny. Like you should do comedy. And I'm like, but. No, I want to like do that. Like I want to do it. She's like,
I want to be
like
Helen
she's
Mirren.
Like came in all drunk and everything. Right. Like and so they're
and
like,
she really looked like she was drunk.
She was like really good, and she was like crying on the floor, and I'm like, and then it turned into that, and then it was like, so it evolved, and it's like, and now I'm considering, and I had my first stand-up show a couple weeks ago,
I know.
And I'm like, what is? It's just you never know.
No,
but that even goes back to being open. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you got your hands clutched on your idea of what it should look like, then you can't be open.
You won't see the doors and windows that are opening to you.
Yeah.
So it's like I was saying, I'm wondering right now, like, is my journey changing? And I don't know the answer to that. But what I do know is a couple of doors that I didn't expect are opening.
Girl,
I have to walk through them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I feel like if I follow that, whatever, just go with the ebb and flow, I will be where I'm supposed to be, and that will make me happy. So if I look at it and go, well, I want to be an actress, I always thought I was going to be on screen, and don't walk through these doors that are opening, then I'm not following my path.
Yeah. And also that's a part of you too.
It is.
Because you know what I mean? Like
but I get into my head again,
girl,
where I go, I'm not smart enough, I'm a female. and it's harder,
Yeah,
different
of course.
things-
And it's
things
like
that.
Yeah.
But then I need to tell myself, I have to kind of check myself before I wreck myself.
Right.
Because I say, I'm so adamant about how I feel about acting. Why can't I feel that in other areas that are coming to me? You know what I mean? Like that same confidence.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm not sure. That's still something I'm learning and growing. But I did have the knowledge when I was young. My parents said, now that you're out of college, it's probably time to get a real job. So like I said, I worked at a news station.
Right,
I was
right.
editing the nighttime news, and I was finding ways to make myself giggle and then getting called in the office for it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was nothing
Dana.
like entertainment, And I realized, no, I want, they said this can't be a reality, but it can be.
Yeah.
And guess what? It is my reality today.
love that.
This is how I pay my bills. This is how I pay for my nanny. This is how
This is how I pay for all the things, my rent, my
Yeah.
mortgage. Yes, all
it's
the
not
things.
just a Hollywood dream.
Right.
It's my reality. It's my life. And I think, if you maybe change your perspective like that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the way I changed my perspective of, oh, I'm not nervous to go into a room and hope I get a job. I'm excited to bust through that door because I can't wait to show you what I can do.
Right.
Because you ain't expecting it.
Yeah, and guess what? Here I am, y'all. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's like you're waiting your whole time. You're just on the outside going, man, I wish I could be in the room. And then you get there and then you're like, scared. Like,
yeah.
come on, that's your shot
Yes.
to be you.
Always be ready
Yeah.
to do what it is you want to do, or at least take a chance. I have a friend that he's I guess you would say a social media influencer.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he created Instagram Husband.
Oh,
It
no
was the
way.
original.
Wow.
Yes. And he lived out here for a short amount of time. His wife was like, I want to start a family. I want you to come home. He moved back to Springfield, Missouri and started his own talk show. And it's in like 10 states now.
What?
Like it's huge.
That's awesome.
He made his dream come true where he was. Now, I want my dream to come true here,
Right.
but it's not a dream. It's my reality.
yeah.
And somehow changing your perspective on that, like I didn't come out, you didn't get off a bus and throw your hat in the air and spin around in the city,
Yes.
like it's like, no, I came here to work and I'm going to,
Totally.
and this is my life.
And you know what I've learned through all the years of even taking class? It's like, it's one of those things where I think the industry inevitably weeds out the people that are here. And I don't want to say for all the wrong reasons, because I think that even the journey itself will weed out really who has the heart for it.
Totally.
Because
It's gotta be what you have to do.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's got to be a
because
compulsion.
I've met so many people that I even had a friend that I knew her for a couple of years, and I don't know how she kept telling me like, we need to write skits together, and I'm like, girl, what are you even talking about?
First of all, if she said skits,
Exactly.
she's off my list.
First of all, exactly. I'm like, girl, I don't even know
I
what you're
was
talking
one of those
about.
skits
were a
when I
skitter?
when I popped into town.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who had been here for a couple of years had started taking UCB and
please.
getting in that world.
Did
and
you
I
say, hey,
accidentally said
let's write
skit.
some sketches?
I got a couple of skit ideas, and I was brutally like, you cannot
Roasted.
say that
I'm like, are we in
word.
elementary? What are we writing?
And then my little rebellious side was like, I'm writing a skit. If you want to do a sketch, that's fine.
But
Fast forward,
she-
I'm on the sketch train.
Right.
So basically, she was like, but then she kept telling me like, we need to do a show, and I'm like, hey, I didn't know how to like say it in a nice way, so I was like, hey, like, she wanted to start shooting comedy videos, but I'm like, I have never known her to have done anything with the industry, be funny, comedic. I just thought she just wanted to do retail. So it turns out that she actually had always wanted to be an actress. She's from Thousand Oaks, and she even took like Leslie Kahn, and supposedly
Right.
Leslie was like, you are like a comedic genius, and like thought it was like amazing. But then like she realized she could not have steady income.
Right. There's a lot of people who can't. My parents always say, I don't know how you live this way. It would be too stressful for me. I would have a heart attack. And I'm like, yeah, you kind of have to let that go.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
And I know so many people that like the need for security.
Yes.
And for having that like weekly, monthly paycheck, whatever, is greater
Outweighs, yeah.
than the man, like, I haven't worked in 3 months, or I haven't worked in a year,
Yeah.
or, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I got cut out of that commercial, or my agent dropped me, or whatever.
I love comparing it to, imagine if you were trying for months to get that office job and you get it and you get to work for a day and then they send you home.
Done.
You're like,
And
okay,
now
that
guess
week-
what? Months later for the next job.
Yeah, hopefully.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe years.
It's
Who knows?
definitely.
I love too that it's interesting that you mentioned like not specifically Leslie Kahn, but obviously when people move out here, they're always asking everybody, where's the place
Yes.
I should go? Who's the
Right.
person? What's the good? And I always say, if you want to work with a coach or go to continuing classes and stuff like that, by all means, be my guest. But what I will say is if, like specifically Leslie Kahn, like there's a specific way that they go about doing things.
Yes.
You learn the sitcom code and all of these things. And I have to say now, I am just saying, chew up what you want and spit out the rest, because this is just my experience and my opinion. Yeah. I don't want anyone removing what is completely unique and special about me so that I do it right.
Love that.
Because
Yes, amen.
right is how Dana's going to do it. And if that's what they decide they're looking for, even if they weren't from the beginning, great. If they don't, all I can do is move on to the next one. I don't want somebody molding me into every other actor. Now,
To sound like every other actress.
Right.
that's and make the same choices and the same rhythm now that is just my opinion. I don't look down on anyone who wants to get coaching before testing or go to Leslie Kahn and places like that. But to me, that's a school of, well, you get through and then you finally meet this person and then they may ask you to teach level 1. Now, I'm going to go start level 1 and be taught by somebody that has only been there for a few months and hasn't worked as much as me.
That's very
Because
interesting.
because they know that specific pattern of how to shape people and train them.
And how they kind of all sound the same. And I know because I took that class. And the funny thing was I had met, and I'm going to literally, for all the listeners out there that are kind of newer and are trying to figure it out. And again, like, I think that there's always things to learn and be sponges. But I will say this, because I'm such the good student, I, in my early 20s, like immersed myself into all the, like, you remember when they had like the book, The Agencies?
Oh,
like you go to
yes.
Sam French and you look at
Yes.
all the like resources.
You get the folder with the clear.
Yeah, just like, what are the acting classes you need to take? I literally feel like I got a master's degree in like Los Angeles acting schools,
classes?
because I freaking went everywhere. I'm not even kidding you. I was like in
Yeah.
so much debt.
Yes.
And but the thing was, I feel that in that my desire, and again, I think that you have to be honest with yourself, because there are very confident people out there that can be like, that works for me, that doesn't work for me. I was like, how do I do it right?
Yeah.
How do I, and I was like, okay, so I got to do like, it's a reversal, then I got to build, then I got to do like this button, and then
you know what? Then you're not playing off your instinct.
you're not.
Nadia.
And I stopped like really trusting any of my instincts.
Yes.
In,
Right.
in my 20s, that was even now I have to fight that, because I met with a manager early on. And it's funny because I went to meet with him and his partner, and we had a really long conversation before, and they were like, we think you're hilarious. And he's like, we'd like to give you these sides. And, you know, they were from like Friends, right? This was a
Right.
while back.
Right.
And so he's like, just, you know, look, you don't worry too much about it. It's a cold read. We just kind of want to see you do what you do with them. And I started doing the reads and started trying to do all the things that I was learning in this class. And they were like,
Yeah.
okay, wait, stop. What are you doing? And I'm like, what? And basically what he said to me was like, you naturally are funny, like your cadence, like your rhythm. But the minute I give you these sides, you're like doing something with them that it doesn't feel authentic to you. And I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. He's like, you naturally already talk with a comedic rhythm. Like,
and
what are you
nobody
doing?
else has that, Nadia.
Right.
That's Nadia.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
And I couldn't
Totally.
get it. I was like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
yeah.
And I think that I've slowly been learning how to like kill that voice that's like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And just being like, I need to trust what I want to do.
Yeah.
And do that.
I had, and I'll tell you what, in saying that, sometimes it is going to backfire.
Yeah.
But you're going to learn from it.
Right.
So like I had an experience where I must have went to producers for Mad TV like 175 times, you know?
Oh, girl.
And so one year I went in and we had to do this scene that had already aired, and that always kind of messes with your brain too.
Yeah, because then you've seen it.
Yes. Yeah. And it was an orgasm scene. And like the quickest way to make me uncomfortable is tell me be sexy or dance. Like I cannot, I'll melt like Amelie in the movie. Like, yes. No. So
you want me to what?
Yeah.
So
I was like, okay, I'm going to make a Dana choice, a bold choice. And so I did it in where my character in the scene was pretending that her fantasy husband was French. And so I was doing it with a French accent.
Yes.
Hey, it's a good idea.
Flipping through their scripts like they thought I had the wrong script. There were 12 of them in there. Flipping through. And then when I finished, they all had, their eyeballs were as big as $50. And they go, thank you, Dana. Thank you. And I was like, okay, that didn't work. So then my girlfriend goes in after me. We had ridden together. She was a little more well-known and, everything. She goes in, she plays it legit her way, and they applauded her. And then I had to go back in and I left my stupid folder in there. Okay. No. So then I was talking to an instructor over at the Groundlings, and I said to him, I really screwed it up. I messed it up. I made a bold choice. I guess I should be proud of that, but I fucked it up. He goes, don't say that. He goes, you can't fuck that up. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, that wasn't your job. He said, if that was your job and you fucked up, they would have said, okay, Dana, that was an interesting choice.
Let's do it again.
Can we do it again?
Yeah.
And they would have given you an adjustment, but it wasn't your job. So let it fucking go. You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
You made your choice. You stuck by it. It wasn't your job.
And listen, if you had already been there so many times, they could see they already could have seen what you can do, right? And they kept bringing you back on top of that.
Right. And they brought me in after that still.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, was that the way I wanted to learn that lesson? No. But it is true. I really do think, I believe there's enough work out there for everybody.
Love it.
And I believe that you cannot lose a job that's yours.
I agree.
So true.
I have an aunt that would always tell me what God has for you, nobody can take from you.
Yeah. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's so true. You can one of my first jobs I booked, I thought I shouldn't go to this audition. This isn't me. Like I was a part of like a
like a
I was a
gangster
part of
crew?
a gangster rap crew. Right?
With that smile.
I know. That's why he's like, I don't even want to go. It's downtown.
Like I had to, at the time I still had a Thrival job. So I was like, I got to leave work. Who knows if that's going to cause an issue? You know what I mean? And then I got to go all the way downtown.
Yeah.
I got to do this thing that I just don't
It's like a 6-hour journey for us, for people who don't live here.
It's not 7 miles can be 45 minutes, guys.
True, yeah.
And it was today. We went downtown today and we were shooting ourselves. But so I go to the audition, and because I didn't feel married to the job, I just made a strong choice. We went in as a group. None of the other people were doing what I was doing, and I felt so lame. And I left, and I was like, why did I even go to this?
Yeah.
And it was the first job I booked.
Isn't
I
that
was
amazing?
like,
It was a SAG job. He wasn't even union, and they tapped Hartley him in for this national, like the SAG job. It wasn't a national, but it was
exactly.
That was your job.
It just so happened that the director loved what I did, and they changed the part to match that.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
you can change their minds.
Totally.
Or like, you may not see yourself that way, but somebody else might. It might be because of a decision that, a choice that you made. And that's why I say, like, I went in, I was testing for something once, and my manager at the time wanted me to get some coaching. And so I did. And when I went in for that test, I was, like you said, you were in your head thinking about what am I supposed to do right? And so I was fighting my instincts to do it right from what I learned in that coaching. And now I didn't get it because that wasn't my job. But I'll tell you what, I didn't do so badly that I didn't get called back. Right. So then I was able to go, I got to throw all that. What's right? What am I supposed to do? Do I fit this role? I have to throw that all away. If they want me, they will get me.
Right.
Whether they have to rewrite the role.
Yep.
Yeah.
Decide that it's a different whatever, character, whatever. If they want you and it's your job, you will get it.
And you know what? If you're I think a good person, and I think you're pleasant to work with, I think people root for you and you don't even know it.
A lot, and people don't know it.
I booked a job when I was pregnant. So I went in for a commercial that Fred Savage was directing. I had already worked with him before on another Honda commercial that he had directed.
I worked with him on Modern Family, but one of my
Love it.
first Hollywood experiences, I had just moved out here, and the same friend who booked Mad TV that year by doing a real orgasm, it was her birthday party, and Steve Heitner, who played Kenny Banya on Seinfeld, and Fred Savage were singing Build Me Up Buttercup karaoke, and that was the first celebrities I saw when I moved to LA.
No way.
And I ended up becoming Steve's nanny, and I'm on a podcast with him.
Amazing.
It's called That's Gold with Steve Heitner, and then I worked with Fred on Modern Family.
Isn't that crazy?
This is the smallest world.
It
People
really
don't
is.
You never
realize.
know, and it's one of those things where I didn't want to go to the audition because I was showing, and I had to be in a swimsuit, and I was like, "What the really right now?"
What?
And I was like, "This is stupid. I don't even want to go." I was like, "I'm not even gonna get." I got a call back, and then I didn't know he was directing at the time, and I was like, "Oh, hopefully they put me in for the friend who's sitting down the whole time, not the friend that needs to be
In the bathing
in a
suit.
swimsuit because it's ridiculous. Like I look like I had eaten like 10 burritos." And so I find out Fred Savage is directing, and I go in. They had me do the audition, and he was like, "Hey, Nadia," and I was like, "Oh, hey," I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so they had, kind of give me some redirect, and then I left, and they were seeing after our category, there was like maybe 10 women in their late 60s, like kind of looking like kind of rockabilly, like kind of like, you know what I'm talking about? Like old school 50s, kind of like dressed, Pleasantville. Right. Pleasantville. And so I was like, okay, clearly there's a category for this. And they brought me back in, and he was like, "Hey, so don't get caught off guard by the other women that are sitting outside. We're just curious. We want to read you as a neighbor." And like literally and I was like, okay. They're like, we'll just improvise some stuff. He's like, "I think you got a lot of great range. So let's just see what you do." Girl, I booked that. I booked
for you.
I ended up booking that. Now,
But
I
you
only
could have psyched yourself out in the
Totally.
room.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've gone into auditions before where it's literally been me and then like 6'3" blonde bikini models. And
like,
I've been like, somebody's playing a joke. Is there a camera? You know what I mean?
You're like,
But
where's the hidden cameras?
some of those situations, I've booked it.
Love it.
Because they were like, well, we thought we wanted to go this way. And then we saw this kookaburra over here. And we were like,
this
nah,
little
we like her.
sassy frass over
Yeah.
here. And yeah.
I love that, knowing that if the job's yours, you're gonna make it.
I think that relieves a lot of pressure we put on ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah.
And a lot of pressure comes from the question of, am I doing it right? And it's such a, like, even if you are doing it, if there was a right and you're
right.
doing it,
Yeah.
it's still subjective.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Which
And
means
you
that
could be literally, like I said, the best for a role,
totally.
but you got one crooked tooth and they can't deal.
Or, hey, guess what? They already got like their ethnic person that they don't need another one,
there's
or
so many
whatever.
different- Or an executive producer, financial backer wants their daughter in it.
Totally.
And they're going to
Gosh,
get it over you
yeah.
no matter what.
Right.
You know?
And you never had that, even if you killed it and you did a great job. So I think walking around with that attitude of not taking it personally allows you to go back into that. Oh, this is good stuff. It allows you to go back into that room that you felt like you did a terrible audition because you made a choice, but they brought you back and you went back in with your head held high because you weren't worried about doing it right or getting caught up in not doing it right before.
No, you're just doing you.
Yeah.
Do you, and when you come back to that casting director who didn't book you and you feel like it was a personal thing, walk in knowing that it wasn't.
Exactly. Because they wouldn't have brought you back in if it was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You never freaking know.
And you don't want to ruin that job because you're caught up in your head.
About something else from the past.
It's such a personal journey
Yeah.
to be an actor in Hollywood, where I feel like it's such a public perception, but it's
Yes.
such a
and
personal
it's also
journey.
people's highlight reels and people what they perceive, like we were talking about earlier.
And social media is
Yeah.
a real,
Yes.
it's a tool of our industry now.
Yeah.
Like if you look at my Instagram, it's so funny to me. If you go all the way back to the beginning of my Instagram, it's like flowers. Here's a fly I saw. This is a pretty crayon.
You're like,
and then
Mexican food.
Yes.
Here's my taco.
And then Eric
Totally.
was like, if you're going to be getting Instagram followers, don't you dare be posting pictures of flowers. You're a comedian. You post something funny. You post something behind the scenes. Like it is a tool of our industry
It
now.
is.
But it can make that comparison even harder for
Exactly.
you. And it's not always true, guys.
Yeah.
You know, my friends lately have been saying, oh my God, you're working like crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not.
You're like,
I did 6 months ago. You know?
It's very much can be smoke and mirrors, and it's part of it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that even in it, sometimes I just have to take a break and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna post and not like scroll too much.
Yes.
'Cause-
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Like, we're all going to have those feelings. I also always tell people, you better get a GD hobby.
Right.
Get
Yeah.
a hobby or you're going to go crazy.
You're gonna go insane.
Because if you're thinking about this industry and what you're doing right and wrong and what class is next in headshots and how much money does this cost and should I wear solids or polka dots? Like,
Oh my goodness, should I wear a cardigan or should I wear a pullover or whatever?
yes. Should I wear glasses or not glasses? Do I look, can I pass for 38? I'm not sure anymore.
I don't know yet.
You
What
know,
age
like-
range am I falling in now? I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not
Do
sure.
I
I'm not
look
young
like a
enough, but I'm
mom?
not old enough.
I mean, legit, you're going to go bonkers crazy and lose your mind. And a lot of people do, and that's why they leave.
It's like, go
Right.
learn to play the
That's right.
ukulele part-time. I don't know. Figure it out.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I mean, I will be honest. My husband bought me a ukulele when he went to work on a movie, and I shattered my arm on it. So that's probably not my go-to.
That's no
You
way.
shattered your arm?
Yeah, the whole top of my. Can you see the scar?
How?
What happened?
I slipped on the ukulele finger chart music, and I hit my arm on the doorknob in my bedroom, and it just hit just right, and it shattered the whole thing.
Oh
no.
my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a sore subject.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about
I'm
that.
not gonna probably, but I did learn how to play the ukulele.
I learned
'cause
one song.
Wasn't gonna let it beat me. Me too, and it was "Let It Go." I regret that.
Oh, Lord. I did let it go. Yeah.
I love it. And as we're kind of winding down, we always love to ask our guests just a handful of questions.
Okay, cool.
So these questions are top of the head. Don't even worry about if it's the right answer. We're just to get a little bit more information about you. Do you remember these
Of course.
questions?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I got
So
5.
we'll-
I'm just going to have to go like this so I can know.
She's going to throw out the questions.
You guys have them memorized, even.
She
Yes.
does. I don't. I have
Oh,
the
okay.
worst memory. She's my memory bank.
Okay, good.
Yeah, she's got the best memory in the world.
Okay.
We'll go. Go
Okay,
for it, babe.
great. If you could be any animal in the world, which animal would you be?
I think I would want to be a sugar glider because I used to have one, so I know what she's like. They have great personalities, and they can fly. I mean, they have those little flaps. They're adorable.
Are they like
They're
like
tiny
squirrels?
little
Squirrels,
squirrel,
right?
flying squirrel.
That's what I thought.
I had one for 14 years.
Wow.
And she was so playful, and she was my baby before I had a real baby. But they're also nocturnal, and I like to be up at night.
Oh my gosh,
love
I
that.
love it. Oh my God. Okay, if you can eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One food the rest of my life. This is embarrassing. Can it be a restaurant?
Sure.
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
Oh,
Yes.
girl,
Hey,
shut your mouth.
We got one right next door.
It's
I wouldn't be able to live here.
I know, right?
But this is the worst because I literally was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so lazy. Maybe we should go get some Taco Bell after. I literally have been kind of
easy,
thinking
and
about
it's
this.
so cheap. And right now they're still doing the nacho fry box, and I can't.
Wait,
my
what's
gosh.
this?
The nacho fry box. So it's a box for $6. You get nacho fries. It's got nacho cheese. You get a nacho chalupa.
I
a
saw that
nacho-
they had fries.
Five layer. Like it's, all,
Like it's
and a
$5.
drink.
That's all you need.
I
and a drink.
think we got plans
I
tonight.
think when you guys leave, guess what?
You're gonna go have a romantic pickup at Taco Bell, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be outside the window going,
Told ya.
Hey guys, need room for one? Room for one more? Okay, a celebrity crush.
Idris Elba, hands down.
Oh, yeah.
He's great.
I mean, I
He's
have a lot of
awesome.
them, but he's
He's,
definitely
like,
my
hands
top
down.
now. I would literally drool all over myself if I saw him.
That's awesome. Okay,
He is awesome.
if you could have any superpower or be any superhero, which one would it be?
And then why?
Yeah. Any superpower. I don't know if this is a power or not, but I've always said I really wish I was blissfully ignorant and just thought I was perfect all the time.
Hey, listen, that could be a superpower. We'll have to find a term for it, like a coin,
There's
like
got to
a
be a quicker rather than that
Right.
4-sentence
like
thing I
like
just
instead,
said.
like
Unaware.
I don't even know any
Unaware.
superheroes.
There's something really freeing
The
about
power of
being
an awareness.
Totally.
unaware. Like, oh, you think you're an amazing singer. Good for you.
Good for
that
you,
must
girl.
feel amazing.
You can turn it up.
Yes. But my favorite superhero, like, I actually am obsessed with Spider-Man. Like, if you go
Awesome.
to my house, people ask me, oh, is this your kids? Is this your husband's? And I'm like, this is
No.
mine.
This is mine.
Since I was 4.
Wow.
No way.
From the electric company.
That's awesome.
Morgan Freeman was the man in the spider suit.
Awesome.
But I fell in love with Spider-Man, and then he was at our Ozark Empire Fair in Springfield, Missouri, and I was standing in line, and I was so excited. And my mom said I kept popping out of line to look at him, and when I jumped up, he scooped me up because I was a little kit redhead and pigtails.
Oh my gosh, I can only
And
imagine with those blue eyes.
Yes, and I screamed, "He knows me, Mommy! He knows me!"
Amazing.
I
So
love
Spider-Man's just, I'm in love with him.
Actually, are your eyes green or blue?
Blue.
Okay, I was like, they look green, I think, a little with the dress.
Yeah, I got a green dress on.
And also, the fifth one was, which it'll be interesting. If you were not in this industry,
Yes.
what
Would you
else
be
would
doing?
you be doing?
Okay, if I wasn't doing anything entertainment related,
Yeah.
I would probably be making jewelry. That is one of the ways that I supported myself when I moved out here and finally quit like my corporate job. I nannied, like you can piece together a living out here. You can,
Yeah,
period,
totally.
point blank. So I worked in a shoe store part-time, and then I nannied and I coached and taught improv. And I went to one class and learned how to do wire wrapping and sold semi-precious jewelry in a fancy boutique on Tahunga.
Girl, you're very crafty, and we learned that working
I mean,
together
the
for the
earrings
show.
I have on tonight.
Yes, you are.
You made them.
Yeah, I'll show you when these headphones come off.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That sounded like I was hitting on you.
I know. Oh, I'll show you later.
When these
I'll show
headphones
you
come
later.
off.
When
I'll
those
go get the
headphones
Taco
come
Bell.
out, I was about to
Sorry,
say,
Nadia.
I'll go get the Taco Bell.
I'll get the fries. Taco fries.
Yeah, I think
Awesome.
that's what I'd be doing.
That's
probably.
awesome.
I love it. And we kind of lie about the 5 questions. There's really 6.
Oh, okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, it's always like, and he's like, we're done. Actually, we're not. We're not. So one more thing.
We literally do this, and no one ever cares, but it just makes me so happy. We're not really asking you 5 questions.
Oh, was
There's
I
6.
supposed to have a reaction to that? Because I was
No,
like, oh,
girl.
okay.
You're like, cool.
Cool.
No one ever does. It's fine. That one's for me.
That's for him.
Before I get that, what was it like working for Modern Family? I love that show.
Oh my God. Honest to God, so many of my jobs I've gotten spoiled rotten on, and I just know it because I've had jobs where it was not
Totally.
that were hard. You know, Modern Family, they love each other so much. They're so ornery to one another. They accepted me right away. My husband actually worked on the show, but he didn't tell anyone that I was his wife.
Oh, no way.
Some people, like Eric knew, of course, but
right.
Dan Tipton kept it on the down low because he didn't want anyone to think that I had gotten it because of him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And so when he came to watch me shoot my first few scenes, he gave me a kiss afterwards, and people started whispering, "Ooh, Tipton moves fast."
You're like real fast, like what is it, like 19 years ago? Wait, how long have you
Yeah.
been married?
We've been married almost 19 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So anyway, it was really cool. It was the first time I'd ever worked with my husband as well, even though he's in production.
Yeah,
So at the time
totally.
he was production coordinator over there. But I was family to them. Eric already loved me.
How did you meet
Dan
him?
Tipton, through an improv class. My teacher was like, "I think you're really talented, and I think you could be like the female trajectory of my friend Eric Stone Street. I'd like you to have breakfast with him." So we had breakfast over at Sitton's over here. That's now like the NoHo Diner.
Yeah.
Totally.
Didn't know each other at all. I asked him questions, and we've been, what would I call that? Hated besties.
Yeah.
In our brother sister love hate relationship ever since.
I
that day.
love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And people always told us, "Oh, you guys should play brother and sister someday," and we just never thought that would ever come about.
And you did.
And we ended up doing it.
That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Hey, the job was yours.
It was mine
From
yeah.
Siddons.
Yeah, because it was. I know the people it was supposed to be before me.
Really?
Some you don't always know that, and sometimes you do, and I don't know if that's always good to know. But like,
Right.
there were some big specific people that were supposed to be that role, but it was my job.
That's amazing.
That's so great. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So if you were on the other end of this and you're listening to this podcast,
Yes.
and you have not yet started, and you want to be in the biz, you want to be an actor, you want to be writing, doing improv, what kind of advice would you give yourself or someone else who's doing that same thing?
I would say, don't listen to what everyone else says if they're saying, "Yeah, but that's a dream," or "You got to get a real job." No, this is a reality. It can be your reality. It's our reality. Every
Yeah.
single one of us in here.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say that for sure. Don't be afraid to jump off a cliff, because sometimes that's where you find your wind. So
Yeah.
everybody is always afraid to like you said, I spent all my money on these classes and stuff. And sometimes people don't even want to spend the money because they're like, I don't know where my next dime's coming from. But I feel like the times I've had the most success in my life is when I, let go and let God.
Yeah. Totally.
Basically, like,
Because
Here we
if I
go.
want to find a problem and a reason not to be here and not to pursue this, or if you, listener, want to find a reason, you will.
I love
oh
that.
gosh,
Just
you can probably find
don't.
hundreds of reasons.
Just
really,
don't. Don't look for it.
We talk all the time where I'm like, this is a town of no's.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to tell you no for any reason.
Yeah.
We can't be the ones saying no.
No.
We have to be, even if we're the only ones saying yes,
Mm-hmm.
because we're going to get no's every single day for the
And if-
rest of the career.
Absolutely. But if the day comes where you do feel like you could say no, that's maybe when you're done.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's okay too.
yeah, yes, and I think that's an honest assessment because if you start feeling miserable and angry and like resentful all the time, then it's like just take some assessment, right?
Yeah.
Is it circumstantial? Is it something that like the perspective, or is it just I'm done?
Yeah. And you get to choose your perspective. And like we talked
100%.
about early on in this episode, perspective can really be a game changer
Totally.
for you, for other people, for how they perceive you and how you perceive yourself.
100%.
And with that, I think that's a perfect way to wrap up our show.
Where can people find you? We want to also hear about you got some stuff coming up with your podcast.
Yes.
You want to plug that?
I'm going to be doing a live show here in Los Angeles at the West Side Comedy Theater for my
Yes.
podcast, the Rants and Raves podcast. You can find us on social media. You can find us on Apple, iTunes, all those things, all the podcast platforms.
We're going to link all that.
We are
show
going to link
notes.
that. All you have to do is just swipe up so you can click on that and subscribe, rate, review, listen. Can they get tickets to the show? Is this something they
Yes,
can go
they'll
to?
be online. They'll be
Awesome.
at the MI West Side website, so you can
Awesome.
pre-order tickets.
Yeah, you guys head on over and check that out. Yes.
Dana, thank you so much for your time today. It has been super encouraging for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to this again and again and again and again after.
I just want to say I'm not just fluffing fluffs. I really do believe that, and I'm living proof of it. So keep pursuing what you want, guys.
I love it.
you so much.
And if you don't make it to the band, go back and ask if someone quit.
Yes.
Over
Yes.
and
and over
over.
until they feel bad for you.
So like, just come to rehearsal.
And then you'll be an actress like Dana.
Woohoo!